Welcome back, everyone. I'm John Furrier, host of theCUBE, here at our NYSE New York City studio, as part of theCUBE and the NYSE Wired community, an open community building on content and podcast knowledge sharing here from our guests. Got a great lineup with the City Robotics AI Leaders Series we're putting on all week, all the best people coming in, sharing what they're working on, the innovations that's happening. Noah Ready-Campbell's here, CEO of Built Robotics. Sporting the hat, good swag, I got to say, love the swag. Welcome, Noah, to the theCUBE podcast. Thanks for coming on.
Yeah, thanks, John. Happy to be here.
The robotics thing's hot. First of all, who doesn't like robotics, number one? Plus, on the tech side, the whole AI wave, you got Jensen Huang at NVIDIA. I mean, all he talks about is robots, and that's hardcore, factories and things of that nature, digital twins, a lot of data, a lot of AI. You guys are doing something pretty practical and still advanced. You got some great funding, Founders Fund, NEA, Tiger Global, still growing. Here at the City Conference, I'm sure you're going to have more action. Give context. What do you guys do? What's the story? What's the core value proposition?
Sure, yeah. We build robots to help construct solar farms. So if you look at kind of the energy mix out there today in the US, it's shifting really hard to solar. Even 5 years ago, solar was alternative energy. Today, it's actually the majority of the new energy capacity that's being constructed on the grid. So it's really the story for how we're going to provide the electricity for AI, for electric cars, for all the rest.
Yeah, I mean, data centers, where are they going? Phoenix, Texas.
That's right.
What's the common thread there? More sun.
That's right, very cheap electricity.
And what's the innovation that you guys are executing on? Is it, solar's getting better. There's always mechanical issues involved in setting up. Is this kind of where this hits?
Yeah, something interesting has happened in the last couple of years where now modules are less than half the cost of building a solar farm. And that's just because we're continuing to walk down the cost curve for solar panels. What that means is that construction is actually the majority of the cost of putting a new solar farm in. And so what we do is we build robots to help bring that cost down, make it safer, make it more efficient.
Talk about the robot packaging, size, scope the magnitude of what's going on.
So we have two products in market. We have a robot that digs trenches for buried cable. On a big solar farm, there can be hundreds of miles of buried electrical cables. So somebody's got to put the trenches in and get those cables in the ground. And then our newer product is a pile driving robot. So it can carry these steel beams, what are called piles, and carry them out into the field and drive them into the ground. It can carry over 200 piles, so the machine together with its stabilizer robot weighs over 150,000 pounds.
So this is high-end industrial gear.
Yeah.
This is not like clean my house robot.
No, they look like Transformers kind of.
So yeah, that's cool. How did this all get started? I mean, this is like unbelievable story.
Yeah, I grew up around construction. My family's in construction. My grandfather was an architect. My dad was a carpenter. I worked for my dad every summer in high school and absolutely hated it at the time. Just waking up early.
Hey, we've had that robot make that early call.
Exactly, exactly. But I think that I also came away with an appreciation for the importance of building something tangible. Something that you can actually look at, that's going to be there after you're gone. Fast forward, I studied engineering in college, worked at Google. That was my first job out of school. And then my first startup I sold to eBay in the e-commerce space. So I was a second-time entrepreneur.
Yeah.
And when I was looking around for my next company, I really wanted to go back to construction just because it was something that meant something to me. And I got really passionate about AI and robotics. It just felt like something interesting was happening there, and figured out a way to marry the two.
I love know about that story is that robotics has always been kind of like, I'm not say for the rich, but like all the high-end factories with digital twins. Mentioned some of that at NVIDIA earlier. Google's got deep pockets; they can pound at a problem for whatever. But now the democratization wave is coming. What's your perspective on that? Because this isn't not like, hey, I was in the robotics club. You're doing high-end industrial engineering meets software.
Yeah.
So it's like almost a cross-disciplinary
very
continuum.
cross-disciplinary.
Talk about that importance of that, because we're seeing the successes of robotics and AI is really in the hardware software integrations are super valuable and seems to be the formula, the template. What's your reaction to that?
No, yeah, you very much need to be a master of both. And I like robotics because it feels like you're kind of at the cutting edge of so many different disciplines. So mechanical engineering, electrical engineering, AI, software, and we bring all that together in order to make our products effective for our customers in the field.
What's the hardest challenge you guys have to overcome, the big problem you're solving?
These are giant machines, so 150,000 pounds. It's an arm that's like 35 feet long, but our customers demand us to install these piles within a couple millimeters of the design elevation. So getting that precision on a machine that size is very challenging.
It is a transformer. I mean, my mind's like, okay, I mean, I'd love to see a photo of it. I mean, it must be monstrous. How many are out in the field right now?
Undisclosed. Yeah, we're still kind of ramping up right now. But we've deployed on over 30 projects now. Fortunate to work with some really great construction companies, and we have a team in Australia as well. So we've been deploying in both the U.S. and Australia.
How's the results been? Can you tell us some stories about some of the use cases and like specifics? You can generalize.
Yeah. I mean, I think customers overall really like it. There's always a skepticism when we show up on a project. Construction is...
What kind of skepticism? Like, what the hell is this? Or will this work?
I think it's a little like, why are you wasting my time with this? I'm already behind schedule and over budget. Like, get this innovation crap out of here. But, a big part of our kind of culture at Built Robotics is we always remember that we're there to deliver a product for the customer at the end of the day. We call it construction hustle. So even if there have been times where, the robot does have an issue, and I'll climb into the cab of the excavator and just get the work done myself. Because the customer's relying on it, and we can't, there's a crew that's going to come in behind us. Yeah. They're expecting the work to be done correctly and to be done on time. So we always make sure that we deliver that.
Yeah, that's called getting hands-on in the cab. And that's truly that's Iron Man, the big Iron Man one, where guys in there. Talk about the technology involved. Can you share some of the data challenges? What you guys are doing with some of the componentry in building these things? Are they reasoning? Obviously, precision's been a big part of it. What's involved?
Yeah, one thing that I think is interesting is safety. We think a ton about safety. We have an 8-layer safety system that has really worked very well. It's something we developed over the years. Proud to share that we have 0 safety incidents related to our robots operating. So it's something that I think is tried and true at this point. A lot of people look at AI and they have a hard time figuring out how to kind of combine an AI model that might behave in an unexpected way with a safety critical environment. And so we figured out how to do that. We figured out how to gather the data and create the test cases in order to ensure that the robots can work safely, but huge data challenges there.
Are there certain use cases that are jumping out at you right now? Obviously moving things around is one. Road construction might be one. You mentioned digging trenches, I can imagine. Excavation.
Solar is really where we're focused. Solar is the biggest thing happening in construction right now. Yeah. It's just booming.
Just demand-wise.
Yeah. If the amount of solar that needs to get built over the next 10 years is larger than all of the solar farms that exist in the country today.
Share with the folks what's going on with solar farms. Just anecdotally, like some people think, they drive on the freeway, they see a bunch of solar farms. We live in California, so you see them everywhere. Is the advancements that big right now? Are there big breakthroughs going on in solar that gives that growth and the economics on solar, all that stuff? From data center. You're talking about nuclear power on one hand.
Yeah.
And solar delivering the payload.
Yeah. So the interesting thing about solar is that for a long time it was alternative energy, as I mentioned before, and it was expensive. So we needed subsidies, tax credits, things like that in order to make it make sense. Now it's the cheapest form of electricity in most of the country. So in Florida and Arizona and Texas, it's even cheaper than natural gas power plants actually. So it's kind of, cuts across all different sides of the political spectrum. Everybody wants cheap air conditioning, right?
Yeah.
And so, it's just, I don't see it slowing down anytime soon.
You said you worked at Google, so there's a big data center build out going on, and you've seen the news. Abilene, Texas.
Yes.
Silicon Sands in Phoenix area. TSMC's going to have 8 plants there. I think we broke that story. That's massive.
Yes.
Massive construction, billions of dollars. What are some of the yields, savings-wise, that you guys are bringing to the table? Obviously, speed, productivity.
Yeah,
Cost
safety.
efficiency, safety.
Yeah.
What are some of the key bullet points?
Yeah, I think you hit them. And another big one is that the robots can work overnight. So if you need to accelerate schedule, you're running behind, having that ability to just deploy the robots overnight has been huge. And we can get 2-3x more productivity.
So Noah, are you building the robots? Are you outsourcing that? Is that, or are you guys working with suppliers? How's the construction of a robot that size come to bear?
What we do is we buy an off-the-shelf piece of construction equipment, and then we kind of upgrade it with our own AI-powered exosystem. So it's very similar to what Waymo does with their cars. They're not manufacturing the cars, and then we kind of go through this upgrade process, and then we deploy the robots out in the field with our customers.
What's the biggest thing you've learned so far in this, in terms of like breakthroughs, observations, scar tissue? What's been some of the learnings? I mean, it's really cutting edge area, obviously obvious advantages.
I think the biggest thing is just that, hard tech R&D like this, it takes time.
Yeah.
Like Waymo was, I think, created in 2009, if I'm not mistaken, so 16 years ago now. And, for a while, it looked like Google was just shoveling billions and billions of dollars, into a furnace there. But now I think they've created a pretty remarkable product. And
tipping point is always in the view, trying to figure out where that tipping point is. And for you, what's the tipping point in your mind?
I think we've achieved that now, but it's basically when the robots can fit into the existing workflow on a job site in terms of quality, in terms of production rate, compared with traditional human crews, and we've hit that. And now install superintendents, pile foremen, they look at the robots and they think, wow, that's a good way to put steel on the ground.
Yeah, what's the onboarding process? Let's just say that I got a huge solar farm contract. I got OpenAI hiring me out to run as GC the job. What is the pitch? And how, are they calling you or?
Yes, yeah. No, we've been fortunate we've actually done essentially zero outbound over the years. We have a website and a contact form, and people have reached out to us because I think a lot of construction companies are looking for technology. I think people might look at the construction industry and think, oh, it's kind of a tech-averse industry. I don't think that's true. I think it's just a very pragmatic industry. Yeah. And they don't really have time or budget for kind of dealing with half-baked stuff that doesn't really work. Yeah.
Idle time on a job site is like, you were there. I mean, I've done some construction jobs in college, summers, no one's sitting on their ass.
No, right.
Okay, you know what I'm talking about.
Exactly.
if you could be loafing, that's a different story, but that's what humans do. But robots don't loaf. I mean, they're on task.
Yes,
you know?
Yeah, no smoke breaks for the robots.
No smoke breaks. All right, so what's the coolest thing that you're working on right now?
I think just scaling the fleet. So getting more bots out in the field, working overnight. That's something that we've kind of dabbled in the last couple of years, but it's now kind of standard for us. Continuing to improve production rates, continuing to improve precision. One actually kind of interesting anecdote is we recently deployed on a project where the grade was 11.5%, which if you're like a cyclist or anything, that's a pretty steep grade. And contractually, we were only supposed to be on up to 6%. But we got out there and we're like, well, shit, let's see if the robot can handle it. And it was able to.
Really?
It was just a little slower because it wasn't used to being kind of so off balance. But all the the system was able to adapt.
I'm sure everyone was on point on that one.
Yeah.
Okay, see if it works.
Yeah,
that's
exciting.
Fun. What are some of the things you're trying to focus on now? Obviously, you're here for the city thing in New York. We appreciate you coming by theCUBE here. What's your goal for the conference? Biz dev, financing. What's
just building relationships? Yeah. I mean, I think as I mentioned, I think there's huge rewards to be reaped for these hard tech companies, but it does take it's a longer time horizon versus maybe a traditional vertical SaaS business or a consumer focused startup. So finding investors who kind of are excited about that, who have that long-term vision.
Education too. They need to understand that this, AI is not for the high end.
Yeah.
That these, what would be white spaces, are huge markets.
Yeah.
Do you have a TAM that you see out there, or is it?
It's hard. I mean, construction is so big. Yeah.
It's too big to even have a TAM.
One fact I can leave you with. Construction is the only major sector of the economy where labor productivity has been going down over the last 50 years. So we're actually worse at building in a sense than we were, in the 70s. And the reason for that is mainly just that wages have gone up in order to kind of keep pace with cost of living, but the means and methods haven't changed.
Yeah.
So there's just this sort of this massive mega tailwind that I think is powering interest in our robots.
So squeezing productivity out of the human capital.
Yes.
Have you seen shifts in the human behavior in terms of what's happening on the job site? Has the classic creative kicked in, or what kind has been the impact to the robots?
You know, I think there's a little concern for sure, but at the same time, you know, we've been fortunate to forge a relationship with the International Union of Operating Engineers. So one of the largest construction unions in the country, over 400,000 members. Yeah. Yeah. And I think, you know, it's really a credit to them and to their leadership for being very forward thinking and seeing, hey, you know, these robots are actually tools, and those tools need to be operated by skilled operators.
Yeah, and that skill is a new job.
Yeah, exactly.
That new high-paying job, probably.
Exactly, yeah.
Final question, what's the AI impact to you guys? Obviously the tailwind there. You've seen certainly a lot of hype market with agents and whatnot, but you're starting to see real evidence of kind of the confluence of AI hitting kind of real world, democratizing, some people call it practical AI.
Yeah.
How's that impacting what you guys do?
I mean, it's both core to our software, so we have a huge AI component to the stack that we run, the autonomy stack, but it's also, I think, driving demand. So, you know, we've deployed on projects where, oh, geez, sorry.
Orders are coming in right now. See, they have no outbound marketing.
We've deployed on projects where it's actually like a data center that's designed to just, you know, suck all this power right from a solar farm. So it's kind of both the supply and the demand side for us.
Awesome. Well, congratulations.
Yeah, thank you.
I love your mission, man. Solar energy. Certainly, we need the data centers are sold out. I say that's kind of my words, but pretty much at capacity.
Yes.
More are coming. Buildings. Yeah. New stuff, new requirements coming in. Good job. Thanks for coming on. Great story. Yeah, being cool and relevant is a really good business model. Is a great example here. Robotics going mainstream. Really looking at areas where it's not just factories and high-end manufacturing, but you're starting to see use cases where, you know, AI is making a difference. Robotics is causing value in the market with human labor, energy costs, all hitting the same kind of themes of AI. And of course, theCUBE's got it covered. We're live streaming real time here. I'm John Furrier, host of theCUBE. Thanks for watching.